What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome to The Nerdy Narrative. This is a channel I created in order to have a place to come and talk with all of you about all of the things that I read and hopefully help you find something along the way that you might be interested in picking up and reading for yourself. Today, in the spirit of November and Thanksgiving holiday, I wanted to do a video that's a little bit different, but I thought it would be really fun. So today I will be sharing with you the 10 books that I am most thankful for having read in the past year as a result of being a recommendation of one of my friends. And in no particular order, I'm just gonna go with how I have them stacked here. The first book on that list is The Blade itself, but actually I mean the entire First Law series. If you're someone who's been watching BookTube for a few years, or at least even the last 2 years, you're going to hear a lot about Joe Abercrombie. I had never read any of his work, but because of all the buzz, I had him on my list. Well, one day when I was looking at new videos posted by channels I follow, I saw that Steve Talks About Books and Stuff was doing a giveaway. I happened to win the giveaway, which was the First Law trilogy. And that just started the obsession because I read the trilogy, I kept going, read all of the standalones, the collection of short stories, and now working on the second trilogy. So thank you so much to Steve for hosting the giveaway, hosting the read-along that started my obsession and love for a new author. Next off the pile is Sinless Sins. Actually, I mean the entire Books of Babel series by Josiah Bancroft. Again, if you're someone who watches a lot of BookTube, you have heard Alan from the Library of Alexandria shouting from the rooftops about this series for the last couple of years. So I did pick it up on the recommendation of Alan. Absolutely love it. Just loved it. Adored. Each book just continues to blow my mind with its level of creativity. It's so whimsical and dark and just one of those series that if you ask me in the future, what's a series you wish you could read again for the first time? It is the Books of Babel. Just amazing what this author has done here, and I love it. So Alan from the Library of Alexandria, thank you so much for recommending yet another series and author that I absolutely adore. Next up on the pile is the Lotlands trilogy by Jonathan French. This one is one I always compare to the First Law world, except instead of the Northmen, you have half orc, half human warriors, and it's so gritty. It's so good. It's such a fantastic trilogy. And the person that I have to thank for this recommendation is Ev. Ev is one of the most loyal supporters of this channel, hands down. And she is so funny about her books. But when she really loves a book or a series, I automatically purchase it. No questions asked. And so that is how I came to read this series. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And what's really funny is Jonathan French Lotlands went up against Josiah Bancroft and Mark Lawrence's little SFFPO contest he does for self-pubs. And Jonathan French actually won that year over Sinless Sins. Isn't that funny? So Ev, thank you so much for recommending the Lotlands to me. Absolute win. And next up from the pile is the Nightmare Land Chronicles. I did say that this video is about the top 10 books I am most thankful for this year. I did read books 4, 5, and 6 of this series this year. I was extremely fortunate to read the first draft of 6, and it is a masterpiece and has cemented this is one of my most favorite series in horror. And so 6 isn't out yet, so I'm holding up the first book in the series, Nightfall, as a placeholder. And I have Brad Proctor to thank for recommending this series to me, because Brad is solely responsible for introducing me to Nightfall and Daniel Barnett, and I just, hands down, one of my favorite authors and series. If you've been around the channel for any length of time, you have heard about my love for this series. This one was a complete and utter surprise. It was a dark horse. I had no idea how much I was going to love this series and the author, and that is A Plague of Giants by Kevin Hearn. I do have plans to read his Iron Druid series coming up in this next year, but this series right here, This book was so good. This was the recommendation of another one of my patrons, which I should probably explain how that's happening. So one of the perks of tier 2 and tier 3 of my Patreon is you get on the wheel of names, and every month I spin the wheel. Whoever's name it lands on can pick any book of their choosing for me to read and talk about on the channel. And so that is how I came to read A Plague of Giants by Kevin Hearn. It was picked for me by Jennifer M. And this book was amazing. I still cannot get over how good it was. I thought I knew where this was going to go. Had such a different and unique magic system. I loved the different people. The giants were frightening. Just amazing. I gushed about this book so hard. So hard. The third book isn't out yet, so I've been kind of drawing it out before reading book 2 because I really want to try and read those two as close together as I can. And I don't even think I need to reread this one first because I loved it so much. I still think about it and talk about it so often, but I probably will, knowing myself. At least listen to the audiobook again, who was narrated by Luke Daniels, and he did an amazing job. Next up in this pile is The Goners by L. Stevenson. This is my favorite true crime book that I read this year. Probably in the last 2 years, maybe even more. This book came highly recommended to me by my friend Jay over at The World According to Jay. This book is about a serial killer, and it is the best serial killer book I've read to date. And I've read a lot because this one made me realize how much I enjoyed those. I even like this book more than Stephen Graham Jones' The Least of My Scars, which is another book about a serial killer. So that tells you something, because Stephen Graham Jones is probably my most favorite new author of this year. Spoiler alert, you're gonna hear about him later in the video. But yeah, this book is amazing. I am eagerly awaiting book 2. All of my friends who have read this book after me that we talked about it, we are already planning a reread together of this one once we know when book 2 is going to come out. Guys, it's so good. It's so good. The adrenaline rush that he gives you when you're reading the chapters about the serial killer, and then on the other side of that coin, the chapters that are about the friend group. So good. So good. Next up is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. Really, I mean the Broken Earth trilogy. That's kind of how it works, I've noticed. All of these books that are part of series, I love the whole series, which means I love the author. All of these authors that I am going to talk about to you today, I didn't stop with just one book. They're all new authors to me, except for Daniel Barnett, because I started reading him last year. All of these people are new authors to me. They are all Insta-buy authors to me at this point. I have loved every book in this series that I have read by them. Just wonderful. This one is so unique. I love that the magic system is earth magic. To me, that feels like if magic did exist, nature magic would be the most logical. Not only that, this book, the story, the character work is so gorgeous. The themes that she explores, racism, colonization, slavery. It is amazing. It is one of the most beautiful stories I have read. I cannot wait to read more of N.K. Jemisin. Just absolutely amazing. Now, in this one, there are some chapters that are written in second person that bother people. Push through. I'm telling you, it pays off at the end. N.K. Jemisin, this book came highly recommended to me by my friend Jessie at The Bookish Mom, who also gifted me the trilogy. So Jessie, thank you so much for recommending this amazing series and author to me. Oh man, this next book is a treasure. So my friend Angela over at Literature Science Alliance, one thing I've learned about her and myself is anytime she releases a gush video, I don't even need to watch the video. I just need to go ahead and order the book. That's what I've learned over the past couple of years. So she got the ARC to The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick, book 1 in the Rook and the Rose series. Gushed about it. So when it dropped, I had a copy delivered. And I read it along with a bunch of my friends on Discord. And we all love this book. Guys, this book came out, I want to say in April of this year. We are still talking about it to this day. Like, that channel has never died, and more people have read it with us talking about it, and they all come to the channel, and all of the original group, we just hang on to every word that they say. Love this book. I actually recently reread it because NetGalley approved me for the second book, The Liar's Knot. They approved me for the E-Arc. And I had to reread this one first, and I just love this book. It's a Venetian-inspired story. We have a young lady, a con artist, and she's got this elaborate con that she is attempting to pull off with a noble family. And the society of the nobles and the underclass is very complex, but it gets explained to you. Like, do not worry that you don't understand it. The authors do such an exceptional job explaining to you how it works, because the girl that's pulling the con has to pretend she doesn't know how the society works. So the other characters have to teach her about the society and what traditions are, customs, things they're allowed to do and not allowed to do. In that fashion, we learn along with the main character, Ren. There's magic. The magic is so interesting. I just eat it up. The mystery of who this Rook is, he is the protector of the underclass. He's got a costume on. Nobody knows who it is. The whole book, you're trying to figure out who it is. Oh my gosh. Every character is sexy, but not in the smutty way. So good. So good. Angela, I cannot thank you enough. Like, Angela has recommended a ton of books to me that I've just absolutely loved, but this one is my favorite. So next up on the list is Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five, which was recommended to me by my friend Una from the Codex Cantina, who also happened to have gifted me this copy. But what's funny is, it's not so much that Slaughterhouse-Five is a top favorite I'm thankful for having been recommended to me. It's the author. I love Slaughterhouse-Five. I gave it 5 stars. It's a very unique story, but it is not representative of Kurt Vonnegut's actual writing style. I learned that because Una also sent me Kurt Vonnegut's Complete Stories collection that I've been working through, and there's different sections for different types of stories. Like, I'm working through the war stories right now. They're so good. Just amazing. And it's just, like I said, written in a completely different fashion. Like, I would never have guessed the same author of the short stories was the same one who wrote this. But there's a reason for that. I just love this book, love the author, probably one of my top science fiction authors. So Una, thank you so much for recommending the author as well as the book. And then my final one, which did end up being last because he is my favorite new author of the year and definitely belongs in one of my top favorite authors, and that is Stephen Graham Jones, The Only Good Indians. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite book by him. My Heart is a Chainsaw is my second favorite. I am still working through all of his works, but guys, the beauty of The Only Good Indians. You remember I said he writes literary horror? The main lesson for this one, the entire book would not have happened if these 4 men had not gone where they knew they shouldn't have gone. They went onto the elders' land to hunt, which is a big no-no. They knew they weren't supposed to be there. Not only did they go hunt on land they weren't supposed to, they slaughtered an entire herd of elk. The Blackfeet indigenous people believed that you should only kill what you were going to eat and make use of. No excess, no waste. On top of that, you should thank the animal for what its life provided as far as furthering your life, yours and your family's. And if they had just done that, the horrors in this book that followed would not have happened. And so we got to see the consequences of the action. That is the horror of the story. The consequences of the actions of these men. Oh my gosh. It is just beautiful. It is just absolutely beautiful. And again, I have to thank my patrons. Tyler Black was the one who chose this one for me and just knocked it out of the park. Tyler, You are the man. Nobody has dethroned you. You picked this book for me in January, and nobody has dethroned your pick this year so far. So guys, that wraps up my 10 books that I am most thankful for friends recommending to me to read this year. Really, I should say books and authors, because every single one of these, I didn't just stop with that book. I continued reading the author's works because I enjoyed the author's writing style, their ability to tell a story. Are any of these ones that you've read? Are any of these ones that you are now interested in reading? Hit me up in those comments down below and let me know. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. In the spirit of being a thankful bookworm, let somebody know today that recommended a book to you that you loved. Hit them up and tell them thank you. Speaking of being a thankful bookworm, I am so grateful to all of you for all of your support of the channel over this year and last year. It has just been the most amazing journey. I absolutely love what I do here, and from what I can understand of the analytics, it looks like you guys enjoy it too. So thank you so much for your continued support. Have a phenomenal day, and I will see you in the next one.